What's up, guys? It's your boy Hokage Pue here. We're back. AFC content, World Cup qualifying content is back, bro. I've missed making AFC videos. I missed talking about World Cup qualifying. Why? Because you guys, like I say all the time, Asian World Cup qualifying, AFC World Cup qualifying is the best qualifying for the World Cup in the whole entire world. I don't care about Europe. I don't care about Africa. I don't care about South America. North America, all those bums, I don't care about it, guys. Asian World Cup qualifying is where it's at. And we're finally back. We're doing my preview video like we always do. March 2025. What? It's been like a 4.5 month break since our last World Cup qualifiers. So a lot of time has passed. But just like always, guys, we're going to get right into it. We're going to go through all the groups, all the matches. We're going to make some slight predictions. We're going to talk about every game, how the groups are playing out. And remember, guys, I think we only have 4 games left. So there's these 2 games coming up in this international window, and then there's one more international window left for round 3 qualifying here in AFC. And then we know the teams that will go to the World Cup, and then we'll have the playoff games that will decide the last 3 teams to go to World Cup 2026, United States of America. You guys like the video, subscribe. AFC content is coming back in full action. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. Like always, I have games to the left of the screen, and how the group stands is at the bottom of the screen. So as the groups currently stand is at the bottom, games and results to the left. So let's talk about it. Group A of round 3 qualifying. So last time we left off, there's clearly 2 teams that are the strongest in this group by far. It's Iran and Uzbekistan. Now, Iran's on 16 points. They haven't lost, 5 wins, 1 draw. The 1 draw was to Uzbekistan. And as you see on the screen to the left, in the second game this time around, they will be playing Uzbekistan again. So if Iran goes and wins this game at home against Uzbekistan, they will probably confirm first place, and they will for sure be going to World Cup 2026. Even if they draw that game again, Iran is basically on lock to go to World Cup 2026. So I'm not really worried about Iran. I'm not worried about my Persian brothers. We will be here. We will be there in the United States 2026, North America 2026. Donald Trump, we're coming for you. Donald Trump, we're coming for you. I think the last time we spoke, the U.S. elections didn't even finish, right? So yeah, since then, Donald Trump is president. Trump is going to touch the World Cup. That's disgusting, guys. I love this game. I live and breathe the World Cup. You're telling me that filthy animal, Donald Trump, is going to touch that World Cup before me? That's a fucking crime. That is a freaking crime. So when I see that happen, I'm going to cry tears of sadness when Donald Trump touches that World Cup trophy. So yeah, Iran in full control of this group. Second place, I genuinely believe Uzbekistan will end up getting second place. Now, like in classic Uzbekistan fashion, like they're playing great, right? But they're not like high scoring or anything. By no means is this Uzbekistan team high scoring, right? The 2 teams under them have more goals scored than them, but they have more points. Why? Because they're great at defending. By the way, since the last time we spoke and talked about it, their star center back Kushanov signs for Manchester City. Huge signing for Uzbekistan. They've never had a player from that country go to such a high caliber team, getting coached by Pep Guardiola. So Kushanov, huge news for Uzbekistan. So that's great for them. Defense is king for Uzbekistan. So they play Kyrgyzstan. That should be a win. And then I could see them dropping points to Iran, whether they draw or they lose. I don't think Uzbekistan wins away from home to Iran. I don't think so. I think Iran will have that under control and get the W there. But yeah, starting from the game at the top, Iran versus UAE. UAE, one of the teams trying to put pressure on Uzbekistan to try to get second. Because let's be honest, guys, the teams want to finish. The teams that actually have a chance of going to the World Cup, they want to finish top 2. They don't want to have to play the pressure and the dramatics of a playoff, a 2-legged playoff, because then, you guys, it's out of your control. Anything can happen. In actual qualifying here, where you play, 10 games total? You play each team twice, right? So you get 10 games. You're in more control of your destiny through 10 games, not 2 games. So UAE here against Iran, yes, they're going away from home, but Iran's going to have a tough game here because UAE wants to continue to put the pressure on to Uzbekistan and try to get them to slip up under the pressure and get that second place spot in automatic qualification. Under UAE, you have Qatar. Also, last time we spoke, they just haven't been good. They haven't been good with the players they have, all the money they put into this team. They're the back-to-back AFC champions of Asia, the freaking back-to-back AFC Asia Cup champions. And these guys might not make the World Cup. First of all, we can clown Qatar, and I love clowning Qatar, but how bad would that look, Asia? How bad would that make Asia look? Pretty bad. So Qatar, I honestly don't see them making the top two. Qatar will have to play the playoffs. So Qatar has two big games here. They can't drop points to North Korea, and they can't drop points to Kyrgyzstan. They have to get 2 wins out of 2. The North Korea game, I think they have on lock. You guys, away to Kyrgyzstan, you never know. You never know. I've seen crazier things happen. So Qatar need to get those 2 wins there, and then obviously Kyrgyzstan and North Korea at the bottom of the group. I really don't expect much from these teams. I think going into this, Kyrgyzstan already surprised me getting to round 3. I didn't think Kyrgyzstan would get into round 3. I thought round 2 was where they would stop. So they surprised me getting to round 3, but I really thought that was the end of the surprises. I didn't expect Kyrgyzstan to do really much in this group besides maybe take points off the bigger teams here or there. And give them a run for their money. So, yeah, Kyrgyzstan and North Korea, they don't have much to do. North Korea not going to win either of these games, in my opinion. They kind of impressed in the beginning with, remember, they got 2 draws, but they're not going to do anything, bro. And Kim Jong Un, I'm not afraid of you. I'm happy to say now, Kim, I'm happy to say it. Your team will not be going to World Cup 2026. As much as that would have been funny, North Korea playing in the United States. As much as that would have been so funny, it was never gonna happen. Let's be honest. So we're looking at this. We're looking at these fixtures here. I see Iran beating UAE, and I see Iran beating Uzbekistan. In all honesty, so Iran will add another 6 points to the tally. They'll go to 22 points, and I'm guaranteeing you right now, Iran will 100% then qualify for the World Cup, and we will see them next summer in North America. The Uzbekistan's first game against Kyrgyzstan at home. They have to win. If they're going to drop points against Iran, like I think they will, and with UAE putting the pressure on them, they have to win that game against Kyrgyzstan. They have to. They have to. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to favor Uzbekistan to win that game. Qatar versus North Korea. I'm sorry, North Korea. Going away from home, going to Qatar, you're not going to do anything, especially this is a Qatar team that needs to win, bro. They need to secure the playoff spots and carry some momentum as they eventually get to those playoff games. They don't want to go into the playoff games off of form, not having any confidence. So for here, Qatar, the last 4 games, it's all about gaining momentum and having confidence for the playoff games that they're probably going to have to play. So I see them beating North Korea, and I see them winning away from home to Kyrgyzstan. I see them getting the job done. North Korea versus UAE. Obviously, North Korea doesn't actually play at home. In fact, I think North Korea just officially suspended or stopped any kind of tourism to North Korea. So no outsiders can ever go to North Korea, I'm pretty sure. So interesting. And so, yeah, they're not really at home against UAE. So because I think UAE will get the job done there because if they lose to Iran, like I think they will need to bounce back and get some momentum again. And that's a perfect time to get some against North Korea. So, yeah, seeing how I think these results are going to go, I think the group will stay as it stands. I think after these 2 games, Iran will stay second. Uzbekistan will stay second. I think I got my words mixed up. Iran will stay first. Uzbekistan second. UAE third. Qatar fourth. Kyrgyzstan and North Korea finishing 5th and 6th, respectively. So, yeah, I don't see much changing in this group. So that's Group A. Kind of straightforward, honestly, in my opinion. Now, honestly, I'm not a football god. I'm not a football wizard. Things can change. Things can happen. But I genuinely see all these results going the way I said. So I don't think we're going to see much movement or shifting here in Group A. So without further ado, let's go to Group B now. Group B. This is the most competitive group. So Group A, I think, is kind of competitive, right? But Iran and Uzbekistan have been the clear best team. Group B is the most competitive in terms of the quality of the football being played. The quality of these teams, this is the most even group. Now, South Korea. Let's start with South Korea. So they play Oman. They have two back-to-back home games. So they play Oman at home and they play Jordan at home. The Jordan game, you guys, we know how Jordan plays. I'm not, I will not sit here and tell you South Korea will win at home against Jordan because we know the way these Jordan guys play, man, the attacking style they play, it's so exciting. They could get anyone. They could score goals against anyone. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you South Korea will get the win against Jordan. I'm not sure about that. But at home against Oman, South Korea. I'm going South Korea. Now, interesting thing about South Korea is if you look across their team, at least they're big players, the guys that play in Europe, right? Besides maybe Kim Min Jae, the center back Kim Min Jae, the attacking talent that South Korea has in Europe, none of them are really on form. Kang In Lee is probably the most in-form Korean attacker from Europe, coming in from Europe right now for these games. But Heung-min Son, Hwang Yi-chan, all these guys, they're not necessarily in amazing form. So am I smart to count out Oman? Maybe not, but the fact that it's at home, I don't think South Korea will mess this up. I think they'll get the win. And they won't do any messing about. Now, if this was South Korea away from home with the lack of, informed players coming in, now we could talk. But that's not the case. South Korea is at home this time around, and I think they'll get the win here. Iraq versus Kuwait. Now, basically excuse me, I don't know if you heard my burp, but that was disgusting. That burp had flavor to it. That's how you know it's just gross. Iraq versus Kuwait. Now, let's look at the table below. Iraq is in second place. They are in second place. Jordan is in third. The interesting thing here, I genuinely believe, unlike the Iran group, unlike Group A, where I actually think Iran and Uzbekistan will probably, I would bet that Iran and Uzbekistan will finish first and second. In this Group B, I cannot bet that Iraq will finish second. I cannot tell you that, oh, Jordan will finish third. Jordan won't be able to catch up to Iraq. I can't tell you that because it's that close. It's really that close. So Iraq need a huge win here. If they play Kuwait, Kuwait haven't won a game in round 3 qualifying, but look at Kuwait. They're a tough team to beat, dude. Kuwait is a tough team to beat. They have 4 draws and 2 losses. 4 draws and 2 losses. So, yes, Kuwait is 5th. Yes, they only have 4 points. They have -6 goal difference, but take the context into it. They're not actually losing a lot. In the 6 games they played, they've only lost twice. The others have been draws. So Iraq, I'm looking at this Iraq game, the first game against Kuwait here, and I'm looking at a statement victory. I'm looking at, all right, I want you to hand Kuwait a tough loss. Beat them 3-0, 4-0, because that will set precedent. That will give them an extra boost, some extra momentum going into the second game and into the last 2 games of this group because Kuwait's a tough team. Kuwait has shown in round 3 qualifying that they're going to be a tough team, that you're not going to get easy points against them. So at home, I'm gonna say Iraq is gonna win. So then at the same time, game happening at the same time that day, Jordan versus Palestine. Now, I talked about it at Disney Plus, like, oh, what if Palestine can make it to the World Cup? I'm gonna be honest with you right now. Now, Palestine is similar to Kuwait, where yes, they have 3 losses, but they also have 3 draws. So half the time they are giving the teams in this group a hard time. They're not going to just bend down over and give you 3 points. They're not. They will make you fight for your points. And Jordan at home, I think Palestine. I don't know. Because it's Jordan at home, bro. I think Jordan will win this. I think Jordan will beat Palestine now. I just don't know with all the political stuff happening in Palestine. I don't even know how these guys are able to play. So huge respect to Palestine, but the way Jordan plays, the attacking style, I mean, they have the second most goals in the group, 9 goals, 5 goals conceded for Jordan. It's a tough one, but I think they'll beat Palestine. And then Palestine at home, they don't really actually play at home against Iraq, right? I think Iraq will get the job done away. And so then you come to that South Korea Jordan game. This is why Iraq needs to win these 2 games. Why? Because if Iraq wins these 2 games, gets their 6 points, right? 6 out of 6 points, they'll go to 17 points. And let's say Jordan beats Palestine, right? That's South Korea Jordan game. Now, I'm not saying South Korea is going to just win easily, right? Jordan will give these guys a game. Jordan will put pressure on that backline. But the issue here for Jordan is I do still favor, and I do think a lot of people would still favor South Korea heavily to beat Jordan at home. And the issue for that, the issue with that for Jordan is already 2 points behind Iraq. So if they drop another 3 points, if they lose to South Korea, they will be 5 points behind Iraq, assuming, you guys obviously assuming Iraq wins their other 2 games, like I think they will. So sneaky situation for Jordan here. It really might be the make or break of them getting second or third place in this group. It really might be the make or break. So I'm not going to predict that game on who's going to win. It's at 4 a.m. too, so I'm not going to be able to watch it. I need to sleep, guys. I have work and everything, so I can't watch these games, which some of these games just suck. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is even a draw too, which still isn't great for Jordan because they are still dropping points. So we'll see what happens there. And then Kuwait, Oman. Yeah, I mean, Oman will probably be the team that really wants to get the win here, because that would give them distance over Kuwait. That would pretty much, if Oman beats Kuwait, now they're away from home. If Oman beats Kuwait, though, that would basically confirm them for 4th place to be in the playoffs. Kuwait, though, like I said, tough team to beat. These guys know a win over Oman, and they'll go to 4th place. All of a sudden, they're in the playoff position. So a lot to digest here. I do think there could be movement in this group. I do think there could be movement in this group. You know, by the way, guys, when I say the movement, I'm not saying things will definitely move. By all means, after these 2 games, South Korea, the group might stay the same way it is. It might be South Korea, Iraq, Jordan, Oman, Kuwait, Palestine in that order. But if things go the way I might think they go, if things get tricky, if things get interesting, I could definitely see this group after these 2 games changing to South Korea staying first, Iraq staying second. No, potentially Jordan getting second, Iraq dropping to third, and potentially Kuwait bumping up to fourth, Oman dropping into fifth, and Palestine staying in sixth. So there's a lot of room for movement here. And I do think from the games I've seen from these teams, the level is similar. The level is similar. Like, yes, South Korea is the giant in this group, and Iraq is kind of like also a giant in this group. But the level of football I've seen from these group, and the matches in this group, it's a similar level, right? Like Iraq and Jordan. Honestly, Jordan, Iraq, and South Korea, in my opinion, there isn't much that separates those teams. Those are 3 pretty evenly matched teams. And then you have Oman, Kuwait, and Palestine, who those 3 are also very evenly matched with each other. So very close group, very close group. I'm interested to see what happens, but I do think after these 2 games, if South Korea goes and wins their two games, excuse me, I think that will basically confirm them automatic qualification to World Cup 2026. So let's see what happens. Group B. Let's see if they produce some drama. Produce some drama, you guys. And this is AFC. I guarantee you all the results I think will happen, I guarantee you only 20% of them will be right. This is AFC World Cup qualifying, guys. It's the wild, wild west out here. Like I keep saying about AFC World Cup qualifying. It's the wild, wild west. It's a classic American cowboy movie. Gung Ho. So interested to see what happens there. And let's get to the last group, guys. Group C. Now, this is the group that has just, so like I said, Group A is kind of the most straightforward group. Group B is kind of the closest group in terms of the quality of football. And Group C is just the clown group. Now, disregarding Japan have been excellent. 16 points, 5 wins, 1 draw. They have blown this group out of the water. Japan, just like Iran, basically already qualified for the World Cup. They will not drop first position. They are in full control. Look at that. You guys, look at that. 22 goals scored, 2 conceded. 22 goals scored in 6 games, only 2 conceded. That is disgusting numbers by Coach Tomiyasu. That's disgusting. Not Tomiyasu, Moriyasu, or was it Mori? It's Moriyasu. Sorry, Tomiyasu is the defender. I'm stupid. So Japan have this on lock. Now, look at the points below Japan. And honestly, guys, I forgot it was this close. Look at the points below Japan. Australia in second place, 7 points. And then from third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and China all have 6 points. So you guys, this is technically the closest group, right? The group with potentially the most drama, you guys, but don't get it mistaken. By no means is this group close because the teams have been playing well. Austria underperforming, Indonesia overperforming, Saudi Arabia underperforming, and Bahrain and China just somehow getting results. They're somehow just getting the results, and I honestly don't know how. I honestly don't know. So let's start with the first game in this group. The first game of this group is going to be Australia at home to Indonesia. Now, I want to say, oh, Australia will win this. It's Australia. But again, look at the points. Look at the performance. Look at the wins. You guys, as weird as it is, China is in sixth place, right? Make this make sense to me. China is in sixth place, but they have more wins than the 4 teams above them on 6 points and 7 points. Australia, Indonesia, Saudi, and Bahrain have 1 win in 6 games. China has 2, and they're still bottom of the table. So this is what I mean. Like, this is the craziest group, but not because the football is actually good, because the teams are just so weird. The performances are just so weird. And so you have this first game, Australia versus Indonesia. Now, key point on Indonesia, and this was like the one AFC video I made during this break. They sacked their freaking coach for Kluivert, Patrick Kluivert. And I made that video very worried because, you guys, what does Patrick Kluivert, a European Dutch legendary striker, Barcelona legendary striker, what does that guy know about AFC? What does he know about the Asian Football Confederation? What does he know about the history of Australia, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, China? What does he know about it? So, two things, the Indonesia story can go 2 ways. Indonesia won. It could go good. Now, what happens if Indonesia is good? Patrick Kluivert comes in, the Dutch connection. Obviously, Indonesia have gotten a lot of Dutch players to play for their national team right now because of the dual citizenship aspect. They've gotten a couple Dutch players to come play for them in these qualifiers for the Indonesian national team. Patrick Kluivert's going to come, that Dutch connection. They're trying to implement a bit of a Dutch core. I understand that aspect. But what if he comes, right? He has a good connection with the team, but he just doesn't know how to navigate Asian World Cup qualifying. Second, for Patrick Kluivert, he's never gotten a team to World Cup. He doesn't know anything about World Cup qualifying as a manager. Of course, he knows as a player, but as a manager, he doesn't know anything. So this can go really well for Indonesia, where Patrick Kluivert comes in, he proves me wrong, he proves a lot of the doubters wrong, and he gets Indonesia a win and a draw, and gets them more points and potentially increases their chances of going to the World Cup. That's option 1. Option 2 for Indonesia. Option 2 for Indonesia is Patrick Kluivert comes in, he's out of his depth, he hasn't established a good connection with this team, and he goes in this first game against Australia. His first game against Australia, and they get battered, and they lose their momentum. And all of a sudden, Australia gets 3 points, they go to 10 points, and there's a gap between Australia, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and China. And then automatic qualification becomes a little bit scary for the rest of the teams outside of Japan and Australia. So we have to see what happens. Now, I'm not too confident in Australia. I'm not confident in them whatsoever. So, dude, it's crazy. The amount of draws in this group already, Australia 4 draws, Indonesia, Saudi, and Bahrain all having 3 draws. You guys, Australia, Indonesia might go to another draw. It might be another draw, so we'll see. Japan at home to Bahrain, 5-0. I don't care, guys. 5-0. Japan at home. They're not dropping points. They're not dropping them to Bahrain. Maybe 5-0 is too harsh. Maybe 5-0 is too harsh. But as you see, Bahrain have conceded the 10 goals already in this group. Maybe I'll say 4-0 Japan. I'll give the actual scoreline. I'm going to go Japan win 4-0 against Bahrain. And then you have Saudi versus China. Now, guys, Saudi Arabia also sacking their manager, sacking Mancini midway. Who do they bring in? Hervé Renard. Now, Hervé Renard is not like Patrick Kluivert, where this will be his first games for Saudi Arabia. He was there for the last 2 games for Saudi Arabia. And let me tell you, it backfired. Saudi Arabia did not look improved. There was no new manager bounce. The team looked a little lost. So a couple months removed from his first games back as the Saudi Arabian manager, I'm interested to see if he's able to get to this Saudi team again. Because you guys, categorically, this Saudi team should be playing a lot better. The Saudi national team should be playing better. They shouldn't be below Indonesia. They should be fighting with Japan for first place. They should, because you look at all the money that's been pumped into Saudi Arabian football, all the money pumped into the Saudi Pro League. These guys should not be 6 games into World Cup qualifying. 6 games and have 1 win, 3 draws, and 2 losses. It's actually embarrassing. So Saudi Arabia at home against China, they need this win because they need, first of all, a statement win. Renard needs that statement win for the team to get growing confidence and to send the rest of the group, Group C, a message that we're here to come and win the rest of our games and take points off of you. And by winning against China, Saudi Arabia will build that gap between them and the 2 teams below them, Bahrain and China. So we'll see what happens. I will favor Saudi Arabia here. I feel like Renard this time around will send a team out that doesn't look so lost, that is more ready for these games, and I think they'll get a professional win against China. I don't know the score, but I think they'll beat China. Then they play the big one, away from home, Japan. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care what Renard does. I don't care if Saudi Arabia gets Lionel Messi Saudi citizenship and he plays for Saudi Arabia. I don't care. Saudi Arabia will not beat Japan away from home. They won't. And yes, that's how much confidence I have in Japan. That's how impressed I've been with Japan. They're just too good. You guys, Japan can send out their B team and win 7-0. It's disgusting. It's honestly crazy what Moriyasu is able to do with that Japan team, all the talents they have. It's just crazy, Matt. Japan, they're carrying Asia. They're carrying Asia. They're carrying the AFC in terms of quality footballers and how serious they are as a team. So I think Japan will beat Saudi Arabia. That's why also for Saudi, that first game against China is super important. You need that win. You need that 3 points because I think they'll inevitably lose to Japan in the second game. After that game, you have China versus Australia. Now, this is China at home. And you guys, I clowned on China. I said they had no chance of getting out of round 3. I said they might not get a single point. They have 2 wins. They have 6 points. And they're at home to Australia. Now, if Australia performs mid against Indonesia like I think they will, if that goes a draw, and Australia is coming in with lack of confidence away from home to China, who have 2 wins, China would have more wins than Australia in the group. China can do something, guys. China can do something. Do I trust the Chinese? Absolutely not. I will never, ever trust China in football. You will never catch me putting my trust in China. And if you do, it means I've lost my mind. So China can do something. I'm not going to rule it out, but I'm going to say Australia get a statement away victory and beat China in this game. But what happens in that last game? The big one for Indonesia. Home game against Bahrain. Now, we already talked about the whole Patrick Kluivert mess and all that. The Dutch thing, the Dutch core, whatever. What we see from Indonesia's game in Australia will tell us what to expect against Bahrain. Now, even if Patrick Kluivert is there, new manager, and even if they don't do too well in that Australia game, I don't care if Indonesian fans, if you want to get to the World Cup, if you want to be serious, you do not lose your games at home, especially against the Bahrains of the world. Especially when you are tied on points with Bahrain coming into these games, you want to create separation against from yourselves in Bahrain. You want a points gap to at least confirm and have it to confirm and solidify at least the playoff spot. Indonesia needs to beat Bahrain. And regardless of the whole Patrick Kluivert scenario, I do believe Indonesia have shown me that they're ready to be serious and that they will get this home win. They will get this home win against Bahrain. So interesting things here. The whole Indonesia coach narrative, Australia and Saudi Arabia underperforming, Saudi Arabia bringing back Renard, China outperforming my expectations, Bahrain just being difficult to deal with. But if I'm looking at this group and if results go the way I think, Japan will obviously stay first. But you guys, you can potentially have, if craziness, okay, now if the football gods decide to get crazy, China could go to second place. Bahrain could go to second place. So I have no idea how this group is going to finish from second to sixth place after these two games. I have no clue. This is the most unpredictable group. Will Australia show up and be mid again and keep dropping points? Will Indonesia continue the wave of their momentum? Or will Patrick Kluivert come and mess it up? Will Overnard finally reignite the fire in the Saudi team? I have no clue. I have no clue. So I'm not going to predict how this group is going to end. Honestly, no. I'm going to. I think Japan will end up staying first. I think Saudi will go up to third. I think Indonesia will go to second. I think Australia won't be impressive. I think Australia will drop into fourth. And I think China will go to fifth and Bahrain will drop to sixth. So let's see what happens in Group C. Good luck to all the teams. Big games coming up. World Cup qualifying is back. The best World Cup qualifying on planet Earth is back, and it's the AFC. I'm happy to be back. You guys, like the video, comment what your thoughts are on the groups, how you think the groups will play out. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. And I'm happy, guys. I'm excited. I just love international football. I love it so much. So yeah, like, subscribe. And yeah, I will see you guys for some post-match reactions. And remember, this is my preview at the end of the two games. When the two games are all played through, don't forget, I'm always here dropping that AFC World Cup qualifying review video where we go over the results and what we saw from all the teams. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you want to stay tuned in for that. And yeah, it's been your boy Hokage. It's good to see you guys, AFC fans, again. Let's get it. I'll see you guys next one. Good luck to all your teams. Peace.